I can't say that I've investigated it very hard, and nor have I heard a lot of people talking about beginning of time.
How about your personal experiences? Have you ever seen anything come about from nothing?
No, I've never experienced nothing.
No, I don't blame you. Neither have I. I don't think
no
anyone,
one has.
no one else
So
has
how
either.
can we know?
So we can make a very, very, very strong assumption, right?
You can, yeah.
We know by the opposites.
Yes.
If we know something, then conceptually the opposite, which is absence of something, we know it. This is conceptual learning, because something like, why not?
Depends if you believe in sort of experiences of the world as your understanding of truth. Yours is a very
Do you
logical
drive your truth through experience, or
Mostly, yeah, it's all I've got to go on.
mostly experience? So we can't experience nothing, but we can experience something.
Yeah.
But we understand the concept, what is nothing.
Yeah.
And nothing cannot exist. If something exists, nothing cannot exist. Cannot. Because something has already been existent, so there cannot be a nothing in the past. It's simply impossible.
All of this building to you are then saying, if we're on one side of the argument, that is, something came out of nothing, which obviously doesn't resonate with you, so what is your belief then?
Something comes from something.
There always was a God.
Right.
Something comes from something.
But yes, thank you. I just wanted to hear it. But I find it like there's just you have faith or you don't. Like to me,
No, it's
that
not.
just doesn't resonate.
Do you think this is faith or this is critical thinking?
I do think it's faith.
Critical thinking, to me, critical thinking is really leaving aside your faith bias as much as possible. And when you examine and you observe, because what we have at our disposal is observation that we have. Personal experience of observation, or the observation is objective as much as we can. And then we make educated inferences based on what we observe, based on the axioms or assumptions that we've built in, logics. If we are not logical, we can just say everything is possible. Nothing is possible, nothing is... We can make statements which is gibberish, but we use language based on certain logical paradigm.
Okay, but I haven't heard that yet. I don't know what your logical paradigm is, because for me it doesn't.
Let me give you an example.
Doesn't resonate.
I operate under the principle of non-contradiction. Two things, like P and minus P, not P, cannot be true at the same time. Yeah? So for example, I cannot exist and not exist at the same time. It's the opposite. The statements are contradictory. They both cannot be true. So how do I decipher truth values? One of the ways is to understand that it's absence of contradiction. It must be free from contradiction. Like if you said, experience can lead to truth, experience cannot lead to truth. Both cannot be true statements.
Does it even make sense?
Two statements are contradictory. Both cannot be true.
You're making a lot of assumptions in that.
No assumptions.
They are.
Okay, what is my assumption in there?
You started by saying these are assumptions coming from a logical truth.
No, this is what we take in axiomatically.
Yeah.
We say these are brute facts because without them we cannot operate. We cannot talk. We cannot investigate. We cannot explore.
Well,
We take them.
You're starting from a sort of language assumption.
But these assumptions are grounded.
At the same time.
But do
It's
you?
not necessarily true.
But would you agree? These assumptions are grounded in solid foundation. That principle of non-contradiction. If you don't agree with that, then you can believe in anything. You can believe.
What's wrong with that?
Your statement that you made that it's not true, that's a truth claim, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now, if you
I
do
said
not...
it's not necessarily true. You're assuming that it's true.
And that is also a truth claim.
Okay.
So what the brother's pointing out to you is the following. We go through life and we have and we always will making these continuous truth claims.
Yeah.
If you deny the very basic laws that we human beings use to make sense of the world, what you're going to end up doing is when you make a claim, because you've denied that underlying law of non-contradictions, your truth claim can also be not true at the same time.
Self-defeating.
So it's like you saying, I don't speak a word of English, and you're using English to speak words.
I'm using English as a framework to communicate with you. But right now you're re-explaining Wittgenstein to me, but you're not actually giving me an argument for what you're doing. Why are we... What are you trying to tell me? That these things end up telling me that there is a God?
There is definitely a God based on rational thinking.
I disagree.
So when you disagree, you have to give me a counter argument. And what is that counter argument?
So you've made an assumption and it's not an assumption that
I haven't made an assumption. I said based on my educated inference. When I observe the reality, I observe that the reality cannot explain itself unless it's grounded in an intelligent agent's explanation.
Purely based on the fact that there must have existed something before the universe existed.
No.
That is what you're taking this inference from.
No.
So where do you
My inference is this. If something exists, there cannot be a time when there was absolute nothingness. Something always has to exist.
Right.
So this is not an assumption. This is a decision. This is a conclusion based on the observation. So I am not assuming anything. I'm looking at the observable universe in front of me, and I understand the data. I'm making positive inferences or educated inferences out of it.
Okay.
So I say, based on all of these educated inferences, rationally, there has to be a creator for all of this that grounds the explanation of this reality. If you disagree,
No, there's the point.
What's the point?
You're saying that there have to have existed something before the universe existed.
Yes.
And therefore there was a creator.
No, I didn't jump like
That's
that.
what you just said.
No, I didn't do that. I said something has to always exist, and there's no way out of that.
Sure.
So if something always exists, I am saying that something that always existed has to be necessary.
Sure.
That necessary thing is the creator.
There we go.
God.
That's the fault.
That's not an assumption.
Yes. You're saying it is the assumption.
What is the assumption?
Does it follow logically what he said?
No, because you're saying there has to have existed something before the universe as we know it existed.
The universe is just one thing.
Or at least something always has to have existed.
Has to.
Yes, great, fine. I don't necessarily disagree with that.
Okay.
But you're saying, from that point, therefore there must be a creator.
No.
That's what you just
Let me
said.
clarify. No, misunderstood.
we haven't jumped.
Misunderstood. Something that always existed means what? At one point, there is something definitely that has no non-existence beforehand.
Yes.
It is existent continuously. I am saying whatever that thing is
The creator.
why are you jumping? I'm saying whatever that thing is, this thing has necessary qualities. Because without the necessary qualities, this transformation that we are now as would never happen. Because things have transformed. That's another given fact of observation. Things are transforming.
Sure.
I was young as a baby, I grew up. Transformation has happened in my very own eyes. I can see myself growing older. Yeah? So transformation is a reality. So any transformation to happen from that thing that always existed cannot happen unless there are certain conditions or qualities which is inherent within that thing.
Does that make sense?
I can give you some examples.
And therefore what?
So therefore, that thing that I'm going to now understand a bit more about, that thing is no longer a non-material thought experiment. It's something that is real with qualities and attributes and properties. And the more we learn about these things, we will realize that thing is the originator of you and I.
Sure, but that doesn't.
That's where I disagree.
Yeah, that's where
What's your argument to say I disagree? Based on what?
Because you're saying that there was always existing a thing, it was necessary that something existed always. That thing is a necessity, it has qualities that endure, everything changes. Why does that necessitate that there's a thing?
Do you know why he said that?
That's where your.
I still need to see your argument.
That is where your logic.
No, I still need to see your argument. What is your argument? Put it in premise, conclusion.
That your logic takes you so far in a way that I don't
No,
disagree with you.
that's my logic. But your
and
argument that
then-
you disagree.
Yeah, I'm literally saying it right now.
Go ahead.
Is that your logic takes you so far
To
to a point that there was this thing that necessarily always existed. Something has to have existed always. This thing has endured. And then you go from that point and you say, and this thing created us.
No, I never used the word created. I used the word here very clearly. This necessary thing that exists necessarily must possess inherently, intrinsically. No, I'm claiming. The onus is on me to substantiate. I'm saying must possess intrinsically, inherently properties or attributes and qualities to make any transformation. Because if you disagree, then you have to tell me things that exist without any properties can make transformation. What is your explanation for that, or your reasons or argument for that? The things, imagine this one has no properties. It lacks any property or qualities. demonstrate with an example. This is a thing. It has no qualities.
Then it's not a thing.
Exactly.
So it does have a thing, quality. So what thing that are you disagreeing then? I am saying that it must have properties. So you agree it has to have properties if it's a thing. Right. I am saying, yes, without certain properties, that thing, from it, no transformation will come.
Things change. Things change.
No, I'm saying change can happen.
Sorry, guys.
Excuse me.
Can I just, before I go, can I just ask you, what are you like when
They're very, very aggressive.
What are you like when no one's watching?
When no one's watching, I know God is watching. So there's always God watching in our paradigm. Anyway, so thing must have properties. That thing that someone...
Going around in circles.
I'm not going around in circles.
As a discussion.
But I am saying there has to be certain qualities. In the absence of those qualities, transformation cannot come. You're saying transformation is possible without qualities being present. Now substantiate that. So you agree with me then so far?
Happens, qualities exist, things exist. There isn't anything outside of that.
So you agree that transformation happens because of qualities embedded within that thing?
That brought the universe about.
Where are we disagreeing?
Look, you've already acknowledged that things exist. Things cannot exist without attributes.
Yeah.
Right? A thing brought the universe into existence.
No.
Well, then we go back to the question that he asked you at the very beginning. Therefore, either nothing brought about the universe, or the universe has always been here. But I thought we already agreed that the universe is a beginning, according to
But even if it didn't have a beginning, it's a transformation. A transformation has happened. I am challenging the very question of... I'm saying transformation cannot happen unless a transformer does a transformation.
I'm not understanding. I think I'm not understanding the point of this conversation.
Yeah, so he's
very clearly a transformer exists with qualities and properties.
What are you trying to persuade me of?
No, so he's persuading you of the following. He's using inferences, and he's saying that if we infer within our world that there are things that must have properties,
Yeah.
right,
Sure.
and those properties point to the more complicated a thing is, the more properties it has,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And so therefore, it's reasonable to assume that there was a cause that brought this thing into existence. So how did it transform into...
How does any transformation happen? Give me some rational explanations.
As to how transformation happens.
Any transformation. Without a transformer, possessor of qualities.
Without a transformer, possessor of qualities. So you don't think that change happens without some sort of external thing that makes change happen? You don't think that change is...
It's not about what I think. I want to know from
You don't think that change foments out of nothing?
No, I want to know from your alternative explanation, how can transformation happen without a transformer which possesses qualities?
I don't know. There are many things we don't know about this world. I don't think there's an external thing.
Now, that's not really rational thinking. I said
You
rationally.
said it was rational.
Oh, okay. Then that's where we are then.
Yeah.
My paradigm, my concept, my framework is rational.
Insisted on a rational.
No. I now understand.
Yeah.
Yours is not rational, or maybe something else. Mine is rational. That's where the disagreement is.
So what we were trying to do before was
Fair enough.
to push you towards coming to common ground, right?
Yeah.
What we were trying to do was coming to common ground in terms of how we can think and get to certain obvious answers to obvious questions, right? Now,
I don't think any of them are obvious answers or obvious questions, but sure.
Okay, so the fact that the universe itself had a beginning, do you believe the universe is complicated? Do you think it's simple?
Immensely complicated.
Immensely complicated,
Yeah.
right? Was it always immensely complicated from the
Yes.
very beginning?
Yeah.
Right. So, from the sum total knowledge that you have as a human being,
Yeah.
you as a person, the sum total knowledge that you have, I'm assuming would tell you that the more complicated the thing, the less likely it is to have come about. Then point to us some example. I mean, surely
Example of what?
some example of a complicated thing that just came about by itself.
Self-emerging.
Life.
Life didn't come by itself.
That's what I'm saying. It did.
What's your demonstration that it did?
What's your demonstration that it didn't?
Look, when I look at life, no, I'm giving you my reasons. When I look at life and examine life, I see it's impossible by itself self-emerging. Because imagine now, a child is born from a mother. There's something now this child possesses, what we call life. If that child died now, would that same mother be able to give life, or the same father give you life to the child? Same child that is now dead. So the life that it has, which is now disappeared, if they can't give it to them, the dead baby again, how can you say they had the ability to give life? Who gave life? It wasn't them. Because if they had the ability, they would be able to give the life to the dead child again and again every time the child died. Look, I studied biology. Did you?
Yes.
Good. So from my biological knowledge, I understand all of this intricate mechanism, downstream cell signaling, right?
Sure.
All of this is impossible without an agency, a designer, intelligent agency. It's not about disagreeing.
It's about disagreeing.
Listen.
This is an assumption.
You can disagree based on blind faith. But when I look at, for example, the sonic hedgehog pathway, you know about this?
No.
Okay, so maybe biology on a very basic level you've studied. But when we,
All right. Sure.
I don't know. But I'm saying, in a DNA downstream signaling pathways, there's different pathways. Sonic hedgehog pathway is one of them. Okay, you haven't heard maybe because you haven't gone into that level of inside the cell, right? Well, other like Merck pathways. All of these are so much, if you were to just look at them, so intrinsically how they interconnected each other. This influences this, that influences that, and these two influences that, and then they provide this effect here, and this is a feedback mechanism, this is a negative. All of this, just to say it just emerged by itself, is irrational to postulate. That would be fantastical, magical belief in blind faith. But when we look at all of this precision engineering, all you could say is this is put together by intelligence, precisionally engineered. All of these cameras that you see, if I just say dust, silicon, sand, plastic, gathered together millions of years, formed by itself, you would not buy this, like I wouldn't buy it. Because the intelligence that is gone behind into the microchip itself, just the microchip, if you look at it closely enough, you will see precision engineering. I see even more precise engineering in the downstream signals in a cell. And yet I am told this is an emergent property. Nature just happened.
Well, it didn't immediately emerge like that.
That didn't immediately happen in my example as well. Over millions of years, it came together. But you would not even buy that. If I said 2 million years it took for this particular piece, what you call a mobile phone, it was just there in a desert. Sand, wind, humidity, a little bit of rain sometimes. Put all this together and then there you go with several cameras at the back of this thing. Now we call it a mobile phone.
No, but give it several billion years, yeah, probably.
Give it 20 billion.
Anything can happen over time.
So over time you can become a potato.
Where's your evidence?
Yeah?
Why not?
Tell me.
Personally,
Okay.
like
Me and you. Can we be? You become a toad, I become a cauliflower, and you become a potato, right?
that's a stupid argument. Come on.
No. Given enough time, everything is
We
possible.
won't exist in after the next 20 years, 30 years, whatever.
Given enough time, everything is possible. Even me existing for all that time. Sorry? Just what you said. Given enough time, everything is possible, including me existing for all that time. Is it not possible?
At some point, maybe.
So, yes, let's say I imagine for all that time.
No.
Why not?
It might happen later.
No. Given enough time, I may exist forever and forever.
Yes.
So, using your paradigm, I might become a cauliflower and you become a tomato, right?
Because right now you can't exist forever and ever.
How do you know? Because I've studied my time now and it will continue forever and forever because there's always a possibility. Given enough time from now, forever and forever, it's possible. Do you see do you see that you don't buy your own story yourself?
You know that is a facetious argument.
No. This is your argument. I'm just putting this argument to test and you don't like it because it's now being criticized.
So you're not willing to accept the fact that something could potentially, because Mansoor's argument leads to absurdities, right? Potentially what could happen is that as you're walking down the road, a magical chair appears out of nowhere from thin air, and you could potentially fall over because according to your rationale, it's possible that if you give something enough time, there may come a time where you're
The chair
walking...
isn't going to appear out.
Why not? Why not?
So why would it not appear?
Why
Because
not?
Why?
Given enough time, everything is possible. In fact, I am
how
saying.
does that go against your
Sorry.
claim?
You've absolutely jumped the shark. It was very nice to meet you. I'm just here taking photographs.
all right, no
I don't know
problem.
what you're trying to persuade me of here. It's
Worship God, avoid hellfire.
Just very
Right?
quickly.
Yeah.
Nice
Thank
one.
you.
All the best.
Hellfire is real, so is death. Avoid going hellfire. It hurts. Just to wrap up, reality hurts. When you use their own paradigm, own arguments, own principles, and it doesn't work, they have nothing to stand upon. And that's exactly what we saw a demonstration of. So people believe given enough time, everything is possible. Maybe enough time has already passed now. So everything can be possible. Now she can become into a frog. Why is it impossible for her to become a frog? It's not an insult, because everything is possible. But they realize the absurdity. You cannot buy these things. And yet, this is the modus operandi, the framework that they believe in, so that they cannot, or they would not, or they don't have to believe in Creator, God, and worship this Creator and God. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله ولكم.